The Loop of Time. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The rain pounded incessantly against the windows, creating a dark symphony that echoed through the empty house. Alice was alone in the living room, lit only by the dim light of a small table lamp. Her eyes were fixed on the diary open in front of her, the pages stained by the tears that insisted on escaping. "How did we get to this point, David?" she muttered to herself, her voice echoing in the oppressive silence of the night. Memories of the past danced before her eyes, a confusing mix of happy and unhappy moments. She remembered the vows exchanged on their wedding day, the promises of eternal love that now seemed so far away. Time had been relentless, slowly eroding the bond that had once united them. Tears flowed freely down her face, silent witnesses of her anguish. The weight of loneliness was almost palpable, enveloping her in an icy embrace that seemed to suffocate her. Then, like a ray of light amidst the darkness, an audacious idea burst into his tumultuous mind. What if there was a way to go back in time and fix everything? A chance to undo the mistakes of the past and rewrite the destiny that seemed so inevitable? Alice stood up abruptly, fierce determination shining in her tear-blurred eyes. She closed the diary with a bang and rushed to her office, where she knew she kept an ancient artifact that could hold the key to her salvation. "I'll do it," she whispered to herself, the words filled with renewed determination. "I will go back in time and fix everything." Chapter 2. The Pact with Destiny. Alice walked through the city's muddy streets, wrapped in a cloak of shadows and secrets. The air was permeated with a mysterious aroma, as if the universe itself was whispering ancient secrets to attentive ears. She felt a chill run down her spine as she walked towards the unknown destination that awaited her. As Alice turned the corner, she saw a slender, enigmatic figure, wrapped in a dark cloak that seemed to absorb the light around it. His eyes were deep wells of mystery, reflecting an ancient and unfathomable wisdom. "You seek a chance to change the course of destiny, don't you, my dear?" The figure's voice echoed like a ghostly whisper in the silent night. Alice swallowed hard, feeling the weight of her determination rest heavily on her shoulders. "Yes," she replied in a trembling voice. "I would do anything to save my marriage, to regain the love that once brought us together." An enigmatic smile curved the mysterious figure's lips. "Then make a pact with me, and time will bend to your will. But know that all magic has its price, and you must be willing to face the consequences." Without hesitation, Alice nodded with determination, her heart pulsing with a mixture of hope and fear. A pact was sealed that dark and foggy night, and Alice felt enveloped by an ancestral energy that pulled her into a vortex of light and shadows. When the fog of time finally lifted, Alice found herself in an unfamiliar place, immersed in a past that seemed so distant and yet so familiar. With a heart full of determination, she prepared to face the challenges that awaited, determined to regain the love she had once lost. Chapter 3. The Second Chance. When Alice's eyes opened to that world of the past, it was as if a veil of mist lifted, revealing a familiar landscape tinged with the vibrant colors of youth. She found herself in a setting she knew so well, but now it seemed to glow with a new intensity, as if every detail was more vivid and real than ever. In front of her, David stood there, his figure sculpted by the soft evening light, emanating an aura of youth and passion that had been dimmed by time. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, the world seemed to freeze around them. "David," Alice whispered, feeling a whirlwind of emotions flood her soul as she looked at the man who had once been her lover and companion. He stared at her for a moment, a mixture of surprise and recognition crossing her face. Are you real?" he murmured, his voice thick with disbelief. Alice nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes, David, it's me. I came from a time beyond our own, looking for a second chance, for an opportunity to repair the mistakes of the past and rebuild what we lost." David was silent for a moment, as if he was processing her words. Then, a shy smile formed on his lips, filled with soft nostalgia and renewed hope. "I missed you, Alice," he confessed, his voice cracking with emotion. "I never stopped loving her, even when everything seemed lost between us." With tears of joy bubbling in her eyes, Alice took a hesitant step towards him, her heart beating wildly in her chest. "We can fix this, David," she said in a firm voice. "We can rewrite our history together, from the beginning." And so, under the golden glow of the setting sun, Alice and David embraced, united by the indissoluble bond of love that transcended the barriers of time and space. Together, they embarked on a journey to restore what they had lost, determined to create a future where their passion would never fade. Chapter 4. The Adversities of Time. Time passed inexorably, like the waters of a raging river that could not be contained. For Alice, every step toward redemption was a battle against the tides of fate, a desperate struggle to shape the course of events according to her will. With each attempt to change the past, she found herself facing unforeseen challenges, obstacles that loomed like ominous shadows on her hope-lit path. Every choice had its consequences. Every action triggered a chain reaction that threatened to destabilize the fragile web of time. "Alice, what are you doing?" David asked, his voice echoing with a mixture of confusion and concern as he watched his wife embark on yet another journey to alter the past. Alice looked at him with determination, her expression firm despite the doubts that plagued her inside. "I'm just trying to do what's best for us, David," she replied, her words filled with an urgency he could barely comprehend. But fate was not so easily tamed, and with each misstep, Alice found herself plunging deeper into a maze of unforeseen consequences. Each new attempt to change the past seemed to only increase the complexity of her situation, turning what should be a journey of redemption into a tangle of dilemmas and regrets. "Deep down, don't you think we're messing with forces that we don't fully understand?" asked David, his voice filled with wisdom that came from past experiences. Alice sighed, feeling the weight of her choices weigh on her shoulders. She knew that each step forward took her further from where she started, further from the comforting simplicity of the past that she so longed to restore. "I just want everything to go back to the way it was before," she murmured, the words filled with a vulnerability she could barely admit to herself. "I just want us to be happy again." But fate, as always, had its own plans, and Alice would soon discover that sometimes the wounds of the past run deeper than any time travel could heal. Chapter 5. The Revelation. As the weeks unfolded into months, Alice delved deeper and deeper into the dark recesses of the past. Each new revelation was like a blackened piece of a macabre puzzle, fitting together perfectly to form a picture of betrayal and deceit. "How could you do this to me, David?" Alice murmured, her voice echoing with a mixture of disbelief and despair as she confronted her husband with the bitter truths she had discovered. David looked away, unable to look at the pain in her eyes. "I was scared, Alice," he admitted, his voice a remorseful whisper. "I didn't know how to face my own demons, so I hid from you." His words hit Alice like a punch to the stomach, leaving her dizzy with disbelief. She had never imagined that behind the facade of love and trust they had built, there were secrets so deep and dark that they threatened to tear everything they had apart. As lies were exposed and hidden secrets came to light, Alice felt herself sinking into an abyss of despair and disillusionment. Each revelation was like a fresh wound in her already wounded soul, tearing her apart even more with each passing moment. "I don't know if I can continue, David," she confessed in a shaky whisper, her hands shaking with the magnitude of what had been revealed. "I don't know if I can trust you again." David looked at her, his eyes filled with a pain that matched hers. "Please, Alice," he begged, his voice hoarse with the anguish of impending loss. "I know I made a mistake, but I love you. I will do anything to win you back, to prove that I can be the man you deserve." But the scars of the past were too deep, and Alice knew the road to redemption would be long and winding. She looked at the man she once swore to love forever, struggling with the weight of her own uncertainties as fate weaved its intricate game around her. Chapter 6. The Final Twist. At the height of her journey, when the shadows of despair threatened to engulf her completely, Alice found herself facing an abyss of darkness and secrets. Her heart hammered in her chest, a deafening echo of her growing anguish as she struggled to unravel the riddle that haunted her mind. It was on a stormy night, with thunder roaring on the horizon and lightning splitting the dark sky, that the truth finally came to light. Alice delved into the depths of her own mind, confronting the demons she had kept locked away in her own consciousness. "What are you hiding from me, Alice?" David asked, his voice full of concern as he watched his wife struggle with the ghosts of her past. Alice closed her eyes for a moment, gathering her courage before finally facing the truth she had hidden for so long. I was wrong, David," she confessed, her voice wavering with the pain of the impending revelation. "I am the real culprit for our ruin, for every failure and disappointment that has tormented us." Alice's confession echoed in the damp air, like thunder rumbling through the silent valley of the night. She found herself faced with David's surprised, confused eyes, her heart clenching with the agony of a long-buried truth. "What do you mean, Alice? What do you mean?" David asked, his voice a whisper filled with disbelief. And then, her words trembling and her eyes glistening with tears, Alice poured out the story of her own mistake, revealing the dark secrets she had kept hidden for so long. She found herself forced to confront the wrong choices she had made, the secrets she had kept, and the devastating consequences that had followed. As the truth unfolded before them, Alice and David found themselves engaged in a dance of redemption and forgiveness, their hearts finally opening to the healing they had been searching for. And in that moment of revelation, they found new hope, a chance to start anew and build a future where the sins of the past could be left behind, and love could blossom once again. The unbreakable bond. With the weight of the past pressing down on her shoulders like an unrelenting anchor, Alice found herself facing a precipice of truth and redemption. Each step toward the light was a battle against the ghosts of the past, a desperate struggle to find the release she so longed for. "I can't keep hiding this from you anymore, David," Alice confessed, her shaky voice carrying the weight of a long-delayed confession. "I made terrible mistakes. I failed you in ways I could never imagine." David looked at her with eyes full of compassion, his own demons reflecting in the recesses of his tormented soul. "We all make mistakes, Alice," he said softly, his voice a comforting whisper in the storm of emotions that enveloped them. "The important thing is that we are here now, together, ready to face the future, no matter what." And so, in a moment of courage and vulnerability, Alice opened her heart to her husband, exposing the old wounds that had been kept hidden for so long. She found herself confronted with her own weaknesses and insecurities, but also with the strength and resilience that had always resided within her. With tears of redemption and forgiveness shining in their eyes, Alice and David embraced, united by the indissoluble bond of love that had survived the trials of time. And in that moment of pure, unwavering connection, they found the peace and happiness they had been searching for, sealing their destiny in an embrace that transcended the barriers of time and space. And now, dear viewer, you are invited to become even more involved in this exciting story. Imagine yourself in the shoes of one of the main characters, Alice or David. What would you do if you were facing the same challenges and dilemmas as them? Perhaps you identify with Alice's courage in confronting her past and revealing the truth, even in the face of fear and uncertainty. Or perhaps you see yourself reflected in David's compassion and forgiveness, willing to open his heart to the person he loves despite the scars of the past. And if you were in their shoes, what choices would you make? How would you deal with difficulties and challenges that come your way? Let your imagination run wild and share with us in the comments below. His unique perspective and reflections will further enrich this captivating story. We look forward to hearing your ideas.